So now here we have the complete combined set of equations for the Oseen equation with streamlined upwind Petrov-Galerkin, pressure stabilized Petrov-Galerkin, and the least squares incompressibility constraint stabilized methods. It has become quite a large set of equations, but I think now that we've gone through all the steps, we can make sense of each individual term. We have in the first 1, 2, 3, 4 terms our regular Oseen equation. We have an advective term, we have our diffusive term, we have our pressure term, we have our incompressibility constraint, we have, so those are the Oseen equation together, and then we have our stabilized method for the divergences of u and v, that was the least squares and incompressibility constraint. We have our pressure stabilized Petrov-Galerkin on a gradient of q multiplied by the residual of the momentum equation. Well, that one has also become quite lengthy right now. The residual of the momentum equation now also involves this advective term, right? In the previous video where we focused on the Stokes equation, that one wasn't there, but in the complete Oseen equation, we have to take the complete residual of the momentum equations, which means that we also have this term right here. And then lastly, we have the SUPG stabilization, which was the advective operator acting on the test functions, also multiplied by the residual of the momentum equations. Okay, so we've discussed the different requirements and the different wishes or what we want to have from our stabilization parameters at length in the last 4 videos. I'm not going to go prove the complete coercivity of the Oseen equation. It just gets a very long and boring set of equations. We have seen each component right now, so we can do the whole thing as well. I would like to make some final remarks on our choices of stabilization parameters if we combine everything. I think that is still useful. In particular, we make one particular choice that simplifies these equations. And I'll just get straight into that choice. Typically what we do for these equations is we choose tau PSPG equal to tau SUPG. If we do that, then we find that these two equations combine, right? We have the same thing in the right-hand slots here, so it's a bilinear form. I can if the same thing is in the right slot, then I can sum whatever in the 2 left slots. And I would actually, so let me just call this then just simply tau. And if you combine these, then this ends up being tau times beta dot gradient v plus gradient q times beta dot gradient u minus nu div symmetric gradient of u plus the gradient of q. And this has a nice structure to it, because if we look at the coercivity statement that we would obtain with this choice and with these terms, so with v comma q, right, the coercivity statement, however you want to address this. Then we get a certain symmetry in here, and what we would have is that we now have a normed quantity on beta dot gradient v plus gradient q, right, because we have it here and we have it here, and we would have one asymmetric term, and that would be the term minus tau or beta dot gradient v plus gradient q times the div symmetric gradient of u. Yeah, so that's the one that you would need to do Young's inequality on. That's the one that has to do with these higher order terms, right? But the point being here that if we make this choice of our stabilization parameters, then all of these terms, which would actually involve a whole bunch of different asymmetric terms in principle, right? If you would multiply this by the gradient of q term, then that would also be an asymmetric term, non-symmetric term. We can only bound this from below, so that's not going to add coercivity, it's actually going to remove coercivity. So that would normally be a problem, but with this choice of stabilization parameters, we can get this nice structure and we get normed quantities. Yeah, so we do, that is one choice that we make. The other choice we already discussed, that was that we relate this LSIC stabilization parameter also to our PSPG, and in this case simply our tau parameter. And if I may quickly write it down again, and then I think the statement that we concluded on was that this is also going to be equal to 4CP squared divided by tau LSIC. Yeah, so now in essence we really only have one stabilization parameter left, tau, and all the other ones, PSPG, SUPG, LSIC, are all functions of that one stabilization parameter. And for this one stabilization parameter we have certain requirements and we have certain demands. The requirements that we have, they originated from the SUPG analysis that we did, but also from the PSPG analysis that we did. But if you look into those videos again, you'll find that those requirements were pretty much exactly the same, because they came from the same analysis requirement that we had, this higher order diffusive term in the residual based stabilized method. Yeah, so what we had was here, tau PSPG was bound by h squares divided by nu, h squared divided by nu. And if I scroll all the way up, then we had precisely the same requirement for SUPG, but then we called our diffusion coefficient kappa, but you still have h squared divided by kappa. And so in fact, we have the same requirement for tau SUPG and tau PSPG, so we can choose them the same. And additionally, we now have also something that we might want from our PSPG parameter, which we didn't have so far. We just had a requirement, but we didn't have a demand. Yeah. So for the complete Oseen equation, we would actually do the same thing. Yeah, we would choose our one tau parameter to be exactly equal to that. Let me copy this down as well. So that's going to be our one choice of tau parameter to stabilize the Oseen equation. Yeah, and that's a sufficient description for all our stabilization parameters in all our stabilized methods. Okay, so far for now, the discussion on the stabilized methods. We'll get back to this once we start talking about the turbulence models and the fine scale, the physical interpretation of these stabilized methods from the perspective of multi-scale, fine scale behavior. And then we'll get to exactly to the bottom of why these parameters look the way they do, why I'm choosing this asymptotic scaling. We'll get to the bottom of this choice of a factor 2. We also get to the bottom of this C over here. And what I find very interesting is that the results that we get from that multi-scale analysis of our fluid mechanics actually give us precisely the same scaling relations as the ones that we get from our coercivity analysis per the last 4 or 5 videos. So that again strongly illustrates that the physics and the mathematics really go hand in hand when it comes to discretization methods and in general just partial differential equations. So we'll get back to that at that point. We're first going to talk about something else though, a different topic. We're going to talk about discontinuous Galerkin methods. So that's going to be the last lecture series before we start talking about multi-scale methods. Okay, thank you for your attention.